Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim. I'm one of the pastors here at Middle, and I am so excited to have you on this super evening. That joke's not going to get old. But this one might. Take a look at this bowl. Isn't it super? We'll get to that later. Now, I need to begin this sermon with what could be an odd request, but humor me, it's an invitation, not required. I want to invite you, for this whole entire sermon, I want to invite you to take off your shoes. You don't, no pressure. If you need to plug your nose, it's okay, but if it's too cumbersome because you wore your winter boots on this summer day, shame on you. Take off your shoes. If you're watching online, you probably have your shoes off already, so put them on and then take them off. Take off your shoes. We'll get to that a little later as well. Now, I'm curious. Does anyone here have 20/20 vision? Like, you could pilot a plane. A couple in the back. Anyone else over here? You have glasses on. You have 20/20 vision? Okay. Fake glasses. Maybe we have a couple. Anyone else with 20/20 vision? Right here, Roxanne? Okay. Well, okay, Roxanne, I'm going to have you do this. Can you put on my glasses? Doesn't she look good, by the way? Look at that. Yeah. Now, what do you see? Okay, can I have my glasses back? Because you're blurry too. Thank you. I do not have 20/20 vision. I've been wearing glasses, really Coke bottles, since I was in first grade. This is the thinnest they could make these glasses, and they're already way too thick. It's just ridiculous. But I'm stuck with it. We're all stuck with the eyes in our head, and we use them to see all sorts of things. Some of us with 20/20 vision, some of us with the assistance of contacts or lenses or fake glasses. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about vision. We're going to talk about what you can see. There was a rabbi named Lawrence Kushner who once wrote that, "You'll find what you're looking for." And I heard a wonderful preacher a few weeks ago. I'm married to her. And she preached a sermon where she said, when you look for God everywhere, you'll find God everywhere. So tonight, I want us to explore all of that. Now, the story that we heard was of two new parents named Mary and Joseph. Maybe you've heard of them. They have their newborn son, 8 days old, and they're going to the temple, as is the custom. Now, you have to imagine, we often think of pictures of Mary and Joseph, and they are like overly divinized, holier than thou, the perfect parents. But let's be honest, 8-day-old baby, these two haven't slept all week. They have circles under their eyes. They're just doing what they're supposed to do, bringing their kid to the temple to do that thing that's written down, sacrifice 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree, the whole deal. Okay, the last part was made up, but the turtle doves is there. They get to the temple. They bring this child, maybe a little stinky, crying in their arms, and they're just making their way forward, and they're stopped by 2 different people, Simon and Anna. Simon sees something different in this child. Anna sees something that the parents couldn't see. Now, we know that Anna was old. The text tells us she was around 80 or so. And we assume that Simon was as well. He could have been a range of ages. But let's just, for the moment, picture them both as these 2 grandparents who see these exhausted new parents with their 8-day-old baby Jesus. And that was a Will Ferrell reference. I better do a better accent next time. They bring their child into the temple, and here are these grandparents. Now, we often think that as you get older, your eyesight diminishes. But for these 2, well, that might have been true. In another sense, their eyesight was better than anyone else. Because what did Simon see? What did Anna know? Simon said, "For today my eyes have seen this salvation." And Anna lifts up this child and recognizes this as a special child. Well, Mary and Joseph were seeing the world half blurry. Simon and Anna were able to see something special about this child, something that maybe even Mary and Joseph hadn't yet come to fully realize. May we be people who can see what Simon saw and know what Anna knew. Say that one 3 times fast. Now, what do you see? This is the question. Because Simon saw something different in this child. Anna knew something about this baby was different. But what do we see? What do you see? What do you see? Is it a duck? Or is it a rabbit? Pork chop. Pork chop. I'm a vegetarian, so no thank you. What do you see? Sometimes you'll look at something one way and you'll see the beak of a duck in the eye. Other times you'll turn it and you'll see the ears of a bunny. Or we have a pork chop and a horse is something. Okay, put that away. The sermon has been rated PG-13 now. Sometimes when you look at something, you suddenly can see it in a whole new way. Mary and Joseph thought they were just carrying a smelly, crying child, but Simon saw something different. Anna knew that this baby was special. When you start looking for God everywhere, you'll find God everywhere. These two grandparents in this temple, they had a wisdom that can only come with their age. They knew that they were looking for God everywhere, and they found God, even in this crying baby. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and choose a color, any color. I need you to, under your breath, say that color out loud a few times. Whatever it might be, say the color, say the color. Now open your eyes and look around. Most of the time when you do this experiment, you will start seeing whatever color you were just saying. Your mind is primed to see that color. My wife and I, when we lived in the Midwest, we bought a new car. We bought a Honda Civic. I felt so cool because my roommate in college had a Honda Civic and he was so cool. So I had a Honda Civic and we bought it. After we bought it, suddenly I started seeing Honda Civics everywhere. I'm like, look at this. We picked the right car because this car is everywhere. No, the car was already everywhere. I just wasn't looking for it. But now suddenly I was looking for this car. When you start saying the color over and over, you open your eyes and now your mind is already looking for that car. Because like Lawrence Kushner said, you will find what you're looking for. When you start looking for God everywhere, you will find God everywhere. There's a story in the Old Testament, the book of Genesis, about a man named Jacob. He's a hero in the Bible, but he's kind of a shady hero. He often tricked everybody around him. His name actually means deceiver. Now, Jacob, he had a twin brother named Esau. Esau was a little bit older by about a wrist. And Jacob was the younger one who stayed home and cooked food, and Esau was the hairy one who went out and played football in the Super Bowl. And Esau was the father's favorite, and Jacob was the mother's favorite. And this was a time when the father's favorite was the one who was going to inherit everything, and the mother's favorite was, well, maybe that's where mama's boy comes from. Now, Jacob tricks Esau, steals everything, tricks his father, gets all these things that aren't his. Esau's a little angry. Jacob runs for his life. We find Jacob fleeing for his uncle Laban, and he spends the night on this hill. He can't find a pillow, so he picks the closest thing in shape, which is a rock, and he lies his head down for an uncomfortable night's sleep. Now, Jacob wakes up. He has this dream that inspired many a song, and he sees a stairway to heaven. He wakes up from this evening, and he says, "Surely God was in this place, and I did not know." Jacob, who's running from his brother, running for his life, spends his night in an uncomfortable sleep, wakes up to find God under a rock. Sometimes God can be found in the most unexpected places. And if you're looking for God everywhere, you'll find God everywhere, even under a rock. Like when you see this bowl, some of you might just see, the potential for punch. Others see my horribly witty joke about a Super Bowl. But when we think about the Super Bowl, we see lots of things there. Some people, when they look at the Super Bowl, they see two teams. Other people see creative commercials. Some people see neo-tribalism. Other people see global capitalism. Some people see a family tradition that you've always done with your father as long as you can remember. Others see just an excuse for a social outing with friends. All of those things are in this Super Bowl. Depending on what you're looking for, you might find something different. Because you'll find whatever it is you're looking for. So what are you looking for? Simon was looking for this anointed child. Anna knew that there was something special about this baby. And they had their eyes opened to find God everywhere. Now, there's another story in the Old Testament, the book of Exodus, about a man named Moses. Please stop thinking about Charlton Heston quotes. Moses, he runs away from Egypt, has a whole mishap there. That's another sermon for another day. He's out in the wilderness with his new family, tending sheep because he's a shepherd, so that's what you do. He's out wandering. One sheep gets away. He goes and finds it, brings it back. And I wonder how long this took, because the story tells us that one time he stops because he notices something. There's this bush. It's burning. Now, the text tells us the bush kept burning and never burned out, which makes me think, well, how many times did Moses walk by this bush and thinking, oh, another bush caught on fire. I live in the desert. Probably happens quite a bit. Wait, that's the same bush. Wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I saw that bush burning before. So finally, he gets a little closer to look. And when he goes up to this bush, he hears God tell him, Moses, take off your shoes because you're standing on holy ground. Now, there are rabbis who look at this text and ask many, many questions. My favorite one is this: when did the ground become holy? Did it become holy in that moment? Or, the rabbis say, perhaps the ground was holy the entire time. Only Moses didn't realize it. Take off your shoes because you are standing on holy ground. But sometimes we don't realize it. Sometimes we think we're just sleeping on a rock, and we're surprised to discover God's been underneath it the entire time. Sometimes we think it's just a crying 8-day-old baby, but we need to see what Simon saw and know what Anna knew to realize that there is something different going on. Every step you take is a step on holy ground. Sometimes we need to take off our shoes to realize it. May we be people who can see what Simon saw, know what Anna knew, who can find God under every rock, who can know that every ground we put our foot on is already holy. May we find God everywhere because we are looking for God everywhere, because when you look for God everywhere, you'll find what you're looking for. Amen.